All right, hello and welcome everyone to today's produce spotlight class for today. We're featuring all about frozen produce picks. So my name is Charlotte Scheid and I'm one of the Giant Company dietitians. Today is the last class for our produce spotlight featuring frozen produce. We are going to be featuring today frozen cherries. So that's my poll question for today, just to see if you have used our frozen cherries before. So let me go ahead and pull up that poll and you can go ahead and answer that. All right. So the question is, do you use frozen cherries? So I have to say one of my favorite ways to use frozen cherries, kind of like with any frozen produce item, I love to put them in smoothies. They are super delicious. So I'll give everybody a couple seconds to answer that. So again, do you use frozen cherries? Okay. So let me go ahead and end that poll. All right. So it looks like a lot of you have never used the frozen cherries before. Hopefully this class will inspire you to do so. But it looks like a lot of you do use them as well, so I think that's really great. So thanks for answering that question. All right. So our agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit about, because it is National Frozen Foods Month, just doing a little bit or some facts on frozen produce. We're going to talk about the nutritional benefits of cherries, ways to use frozen cherries, cherry pairings, some savory magazine recipes, and then we're going to make some chicken cherry salad sandwiches. So I will say for this recipe, I think you can definitely use fresh or frozen for this. So we're going to be making that at the end, but a super delicious recipe. So I wanted to review just a little bit about frozen produce because we are celebrating that this month. So just keep in mind with frozen produce, it is picked at peak ripeness, which is really nice, and it's normally frozen within hours. And what this means is that when it is at peak, freezing helps to lock in those vitamins and minerals that are at peak. So it is also convenient and affordable, especially during the winter seasons. It's really nice because you can have frozen produce that is at peak. And maybe more nutrient packed than fresh. Usually when produce travels over a long period of time, each day, the nutrients kind of lose their quality a little bit. And also studies have shown that families who incorporate frozen produce have better diet quality. So something to keep in mind. So frozen produce, wonderful way or wonderful thing to incorporate into our diets. But today, we are going to be focusing on cherries. So I, of course, love in-season cherries, but I definitely love our frozen sweet dark cherries. So there's a lot of different nutritional benefits to cherries, with the one being it is packed with antioxidants. So cherries are very high in polyphenols, which is a group of plant compounds that help to reduce inflammation and fight cellular damage. And also research suggests that polyphenol-rich diets may be protective against many different types of chronic disease, and also heart disease, diabetes, and then cognitive impairments as well. A lot of research going on with brain health and cherries. Also, if you eat cherries or even drink tart cherry juice a couple hours ahead of time, it helps to boost exercise recovery and protect muscle function. So something to keep in mind if you are an athlete or are exercising. Also may improve symptoms of arthritis and gout. And also research has been, there's been some research studies on sleep quality as well. So cherries contain some small amounts of melatonin, which helps to regulate the sleep cycle. So just a few of the many different types of nutritional benefits of cherries, but definitely those antioxidants, very good source of those. Oh, and also this is what the packaging, if you have not bought the dark cherries before, that's what the package looks like in store in the frozen section. Okay, so I always like to go over just a couple ways to use any type of frozen produce or any type of produce item in general, but there's many different ways to use frozen cherries. One being smoothies. So one of my favorite ways, or just an easy way to incorporate them into a smoothie, is with some vanilla Greek yogurt. You can add a banana or whatever fruit that you want. You can do almond milk, regular milk. But what's nice about it is you don't really need to thaw the cherries. It helps to give the smoothie that kind of iciness that we like in a smoothie. You can use them in baking, so things like pies. In fact, I think a week or two ago, I can't remember how long ago, Shayna put tart cherries in a pie for a class. But you can definitely use them in pies and muffins, pancakes, breads, cobblers, and you really don't need to thaw the cherries while doing that. Also, you can be incorporated as a glaze for meat. So we'll go over pairings in a couple slides, but duck, pork, and turkey are very good pairings for cherries. Also, you can incorporate them into a salsa. For this, you do want to thaw and drain the cherries. You can blend them with tomatoes, onions, cilantro, and then whatever type of salsa that you want, but it just gives a little bit of a sweetness for the salsa if you like more of those fruit kind of salsas. You can also make it into a vinaigrette, so you can blend it with some olive oil, vinegar. There's some recipes where you can also use some Dijon mustard, many different types of recipes for the vinaigrette, but that's a great one if you love your salads. You can incorporate that onto a salad. Also, you can make homemade jam, or you can make a chia jam. So you can cook cherries and mix with chia seeds and then whatever sweetener that you want. Also, another way that I like to use cherries is on top of oatmeal or a yogurt topping. So you can even stir in the frozen cherries into hot oatmeal, or you can thaw them as well, whatever that you would like, or you can add them as a layer in a yogurt parfait. So just giving a couple ways, thinking outside the box on how to use our frozen cherries. So these are some cherry pairings, if you're trying to think about what to pair it with. So some produce, so spinach goes really well with cherries. And actually on the sandwich that we're making today, I think spinach, you could definitely put that on in the sandwich if you would like to. Also berries, peaches, avocado are good produce pairings. We talked a little bit about protein. So if you do eat duck, cherries are a good pairing for that, or pork, turkey, and even quinoa. So grain bowls are definitely popular right now, but quinoa is also a complete protein that is a whole grain. There's actually a couple of recipes on savory that are a quinoa bowl, which are really good. Some herbs and spices, cinnamon, rosemary, thyme, and ginger are good ones. And then almonds, dark chocolate, which of course dark chocolate and cherries I think is a very, very good combination. Walnuts, vanilla, brie cheese, and then goat cheese. And I will say also in this chicken salad, I think what would also be a good ingredient to put in it is walnuts. Would help to give it a nice, just a nice crunch to that. So just giving some ideas with pairings with cherries. Okay, so this is our most recent Savory magazine. It actually just came out in stores. Hopefully everybody saw it. If you didn't, because they tend to go quick, you can also view it online as well. But this is the most recent one. So these are just some cherry recipe ideas. These recipes are not in this edition, but they are online. Okay, so the first one, so we talked about cherries, especially being good with pork. So for this one, it's just some balsamic vinegar, cherries. We have our boneless pork chops, some olive oil, and then parsley as well. So this recipe, 23 grams of protein. It does get 2 guiding stars, which we know is our nutritional navigation program. So more stars that a product or recipe has, the more nutritionally beneficial it is. So really good source of protein. You can do this even on a sheet pan, I think, and bake it. So your pork and then olive oil mixed with the cherries and balsamic vinegar, parsley, or you would, I guess, top the parsley at the end. But one way to incorporate our frozen cherries. So I made this for class a couple years ago and it was super delicious, very easy to make. But this is a farro salad with cherries, cucumber, and mint. The original recipe says to use fresh cherries, but you could absolutely use frozen cherries that are thawed. But this is farro, which is a wonderful whole grain, which gives us a lot of fiber, helps us feel fuller longer. You're going to use white balsamic vinaigrette and then mint. And actually, mint is also a good pairing with cherries. I don't know if I had that in the pairing list, but so we have mint, cherries, cucumber, and then some goat cheese, which we know is a good pairing with cherries. So for this recipe, 11 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, but the flavors in this go really, really well together. So that's a good salad recipe, and it does get 1 guiding star. Okay, so we also talked a little bit about oatmeal, but this is a cherry almond slow cooker oatmeal. Especially make it overnight if you wanted to. Something easy for in the morning. But you can use fresh, frozen, or dried cherries in this. Some grated apple, skim milk, or whatever milk that you prefer. Water, steel cut oats, some brown sugar, then almond vanilla extract. And then almonds for topping as well. So 23 grams of protein. So it's another way to use our cherries. So this is our cherry recipe inspiration for today. I always like a good recipe that you can make ahead of time and then store it in the refrigerator. And then you can, pull it out of the refrigerator as you need it. But this is a chicken cherry salad sandwich. So let me show the ingredients here. Okay, so this recipe gets 2 guiding stars. So before class, really overnight, I already thawed dark or brand dark cherries. But you can either use chopped or shredded chicken. So you can see here, and I can pull this up again, but I went to the section, it's like in the sushi kind of sub deli meat area, but they have prepared food. So I purchased a rotisserie chicken that has already been shredded, which makes it super easy. I think for this recipe, you could even use maybe canned chicken, or you can get boneless chicken breasts that are with no skin on it. You can bake that and shred that. You could put the chicken in the slow cooker and make shredded chicken that way as well. But I always like the rotisserie chicken that's already already pulled apart. It makes it easy. So I was able to get that at the store. We're also going to add some celery, which I already chopped before class. We're going to chop up a apple. This recipe has red apple. This is a Honey Crisp apple. We're going to add in some light mayonnaise, some non-fat Greek yogurt, which gives a little bit of a protein pop, which I always appreciate. And we're going to add some parsley, apple cider vinegar, those pitted thawed cherries, and you can either do fresh or frozen for this recipe. And you can use croissants or whole wheat bread. So the bread that we're going to use today is our 100% whole wheat, just to gives us a little bit more fiber for this recipe. But 26 grams of protein is 7 grams of fiber, 2 guiding stars. And again, what I like about this is you can make it ahead of time and then store it in the refrigerator, and you can pull it out as you need it. So that's the recipe that we're going to make today. So I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll get started. Okay. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. Hopefully, just say yes if you can see the screen. Hopefully everybody can. Okay. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do in this recipe, so I have my bowl right here. And again, I was able to get already rotisserie chicken that has already been pulled apart. So this recipe calls for 2.5 cups. So I'm just going to take this out. You can see it just has kind of bigger pieces just like that. So we're going to just chop it up a little bit more. And you can put your answer in the chat if you have used this type of chicken before. And someone asked, can you sub tuna for the chicken? You could probably try that. I think that'd be fine. It might have a little bit of a different taste because chicken is a little bit more mild, but I would try it. I think that's fine. Looks like a lot of you have tried it, this rotisserie chicken. I always appreciate any product that you can get on or make a recipe with, and then you can get that on the table quickly. Okay, so I'm just kind of chopping it up. You can see here, just like smaller pieces. Bring over my bowl. And let me get my 1 cup measuring cup. Just measure this. You can also eye it too if you think it's about 2.5 cups, but let's do it this way. So we have 1 cup. Let me get some more out. So this is about a pound of chicken that I bought, this rotisserie chicken. All right, so let's go ahead and chop this up. You can even buy the whole rotisserie chicken in the store that is already warmed, and then let it just cool for a little bit, and you can kind of pull it apart and chop it up as well. All right, let me go ahead and measure this. All right, I think that looks good. All right. Let's do another cup and then about half. Actually, I'm just gonna add the rest of this. This will be pretty good. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to add, so I had already pre-cut my celery, so a third of a cup. I'm gonna add this in to the bowl. So I have already thawed my dark cherries, which are right here. Actually, maybe I will, because I was gonna get juice everywhere. Let me go ahead and cut up my apple. So we want a third, yes, a third of a cup of apple, and I have just a Honey Crisp apple that I bought. But you can do Pink Lady, any apple that I think is sweet. I'm just gonna chop this into smaller pieces. And then for this one, we want a third of a cup. Just piece this up. You get my 1/3 measuring cup. So this just adds a nice crunch and then sweetness to our chicken cherry salad. Just do a couple more. So you really don't need a whole lot of apple. Pretty good. For this is about a third of a cup. So go ahead and add that to our bowl. I also pre-chopped parsley. So this is curly parsley. So 2 tablespoons. I think that should be pretty good. You'll probably even cut it down even more if you wanted to, but I think this is good. All right, so we're gonna add that in. So now I'm gonna come back to my cherries. Kind of make room for them, and I'm just gonna chop them down. So this is our dark cherries that are already pitted. So when you do thaw these cherries, they do become softer and a little more watery. So if you do want to use these for a recipe, just keep that in mind. But I think for a chicken salad recipe is perfectly fine. So we're just gonna chop these down a little bit more. Just add these in. Then after this, we'll add in the yogurt, mayonnaise, apple cider vinegar. Chop these. These cutting board over. And we're gonna let's add in first our light mayonnaise. So I'm just using our brand light mayonnaise right here. I'm gonna do a 1/4 of a cup. Probably the texture would be a little bit different, but you could probably even add a little more Greek yogurt if you didn't want to do the mayonnaise. But the mayonnaise might help it stick just a little bit better. So we're gonna add in a 1/4 of a cup. And we're also going to add in a 1/4 of a cup of our Greek yogurt. So move that over here. So I'm using just our brand Greek non-fat yogurt. So what's nice about this, and I mentioned about protein, so 3/4 of a cup of this already has 17 grams of protein, which is nice. And we'll definitely add some protein to this chicken cherry salad sandwich. Let me see if I can get this. It's gonna do 4th cup. Good. Let's add that. Work on this. Then we're gonna add in our apple cider vinegar, so 1 tablespoon. So I'm just using our brand apple cider vinegar. So do 1 tablespoon of this. Go ahead and mix it up. And you can, if you want to, add a little bit of salt and pepper, but you don't necessarily have to. So we're just gonna mix this up. I think this yogurt and the mayonnaise will cover it just enough so it's not too goopy or anything like that. And that certainly smells good. Let me just make sure I have everything: the chicken, celery, apple mayonnaise, Greek yogurt, parsley, apple cider vinegar, and our cherries. Okay. And you can see here too, the thawed cherries even give this chicken salad just a little bit of like a pink, more pinkish color. I don't know if that's good or bad. Just kind of makes it a little more colorful, as you can see right here. So I'm going to actually not plate, get out 2 pieces of whole wheat bread. So you can see I'm using our 100% whole wheat bread. So for 2 slices, 3 grams of fiber. Go ahead and do this of bread. And I'll go ahead and scoop my chicken cherry salad sandwich. So I think even too, which I mentioned before, you could even add like a layer of spinach on here. I think would be really good. But also you could probably add in some walnuts for crunch, which would also be good. You can even probably put this in a wrap, or the recipe also suggests a croissant as well. So I'm just gonna cut mine diagonal. So you can see here, this is our chicken cherry salad sandwich. So super delicious, a lot of flavor going on with it, but that's just one way to use our frozen cherries. Okay, let me just check our Q&A. Let's see. So is frozen fruit better to use in baking smoothies versus eating by itself like fresh fruit? So I think that either one is definitely a healthy way to incorporate cherries. And how many sandwiches does this make? I believe what it says it is, it's 4 servings, so 4 sandwiches, but I'll double check on that. Okay. So I hope this gives everybody some ideas on how to use frozen cherries. But this is super easy to make, and you can keep this in the refrigerator for probably at least 4 or 5 days or so. And when you do keep it in the refrigerator, the flavors combine, which makes it even better.